All right, books that I recommend to Roblox developers. So, over the years, I've recommended several books that I find very helpful for Roblox developers. And I think that if you watch this video and you just take the key lessons that I'm about to share with you from these books and apply them to how you do Roblox development, you will supercharge your game development career. No matter if you're making games or if you're taking commissions, everything that I'm about to teach you from these books will change how you approach Roblox game development forever. My dog got to this one, as you can see, the Social Strategist. So, most people, they look at social dynamics as just a thing you do, just on the everyday. Talk to someone, hit up your friend on a text, ask them if they want to hang out. Oh, message someone on X and see if they want to take a commission from me. And that's that, right? But beyond what you see on the surface, there are deeper levels to social dynamics that most people don't know about, or they don't know about them consciously. And this is one of those books that's going to allow you to put into perspective the entire scope of social dynamics. At least a lot more. You're going to get a lot closer. There's so much you can learn about this topic, but this book right here has some keys. One thing you're going to learn in this book is power. So power is something that people don't generally like to talk about. They think it's a bad thing, or they think it's irrelevant and we shouldn't focus on power, and that everything should just be even Steven. And in some cases, maybe that's true. But the reality is that power is all around us. Power dynamics are going on constantly. And in every interaction, it's something you can't escape. And it's not bad. It's not even good. It just is. It's neutral. Okay? And until you understand it, you're either going to be a victim to it, or you're going to be operating at a level below your full potential. So this book, it goes into a lot of details on power dynamics, different things that you might not know, and ways that people might try to gain power over you, and ways that you can reclaim that power for yourself. Additionally, they talk about frame control, which is about dictating the perspective, the context of social dynamics, and being in charge rather than following someone else, and allowing other people to set the terms of an interaction. Very essential for commission work and negotiation in particular. That's what comes to mind first, is to get the best deal you can possibly get, you have to have a strong grasp of frame control. And if you don't, you're going to end up on the short end of the stick, most likely. So what does this book teach? Well, it teaches you how to communicate in a way where you aren't losing to the other person's frame, their perspective. You're not allowing them to fully dictate how that interaction is perceived, how that negotiation is perceived, and you're preventing things that they say from or do or from limiting you. So, for example, let's say that somebody tells you that your prices for commission work are too high. That's their frame, right? And most people would often buckle to this. They say, okay, well, we can lower the prices for you, blah, 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 blah. No. There might be times where you want to lower prices, but this is a chance to instead operate from your frame. And what is your frame? Well, ideally, it's that I offer high value work to developers and I deserve to be paid what I'm worth and what my work is worth. Therefore, you're going to reframe their objection as actually, it's not that it's a high price, it's that my work is high value. I'm offering a lot to you. And if you don't want to pay that price, that's okay. I'm going to move on to other commission work. And now you have just flipped their frame on its head. And if you say that or something like that, you're reframing their objection. They've thrown you something there that your way that could be negative, right? And most people would take it as a negative. And you flipped it into a positive for yourself. Do you understand? Now, if they accept these new terms, if they accept this new frame, you have just put yourself up a level in this interaction. You have just leveled yourself up. And you might say, well, what if they don't? Well, what if they don't accept this new offer, this new frame that I've laid out here? Well, I say, okay, whatever, right? Because now, let's look at what you said. You said, I'm going to move on to other work. I'm going to move on to other clients. You're operating from a place of power. You have abundance. You have all these other people who want work from you. You don't need them, right? Whoever needs the other the least has the most power in the interaction. So it doesn't matter. If you're operating from a place of abundance, I have lots and lots of clients. I don't need any one client. I don't need to chase them. I attract clients. I don't chase clients. You get it? If you're operating from this place, it doesn't matter. It's okay if they accept it or not. And hey, you might want to negotiate further, right? Maybe for this client, maybe they don't accept the terms, but they're willing to negotiate something else. And what you could do is you could do a little bit of a compromise, right? You could say, okay, we can meet in the middle, but I'm going to take off this and this and this from your commission. For example, I'm not going to make these as custom models for your build, for your map. I'm going to use some free assets that are out there that are right here. You can see them. They're from this developer instead of making them custom for you. Does that sound good, right? Now, right, pay attention. You're imposing your own frame on the interaction rather than letting the other person's perspective to dominate the entire situation, okay? And when you read this book, you're going to get an even stronger grasp of frame control. But I know that you can see now why this is essential to anyone who wants to take commissions. Because if you don't know some of these things, you're going to get screwed over. You might get kind of into lower commission rates. You're not going to make as much money. You might even get manipulated. Who knows, right? There's so many things that could go wrong if you don't have a grasp over the principles in this book. So I highly recommend that you read this book that I've shared with you, especially for frame control. That's some good stuff. So they got frame ignoring. Ignore things or certain aspects of things they say. Refuse. So you just refuse to talk about something altogether, just openly. Calmly, of course. Refuse to enter their frame with open and direct verbal refusal, or refuse to enter their frame through your actions. So you could, well, right there, we refuse to take their offer of a lower rate. That's a form of a refuse frame control technique. Framing buffet. Reframe, change the question. See, there's a lot of different frame control techniques. Great book. Read it. It's on Audible. It's on Amazon. It's everywhere. All right, next. Game Development Essentials, Game Project Management. So this book, it's kind of hard to find. It's a little bit older. But I find that game development books are often hard to discover, especially good ones. And this one was great. It helped me in formulating a lot of what I teach on my channel, SmartyRBX. And it helped me in discovering a lot of concepts that have helped me in game development, like USPs, unique selling points. This book will teach you about project management. It'll also teach you a lot about game design. I recommend it. Now, don't buy it for $500 or whatever they sell it for on Amazon. Look for a used retailer online. Just go to Google, type in the title of the book, and then look at all those different resellers who sell it for a lower price. There might be people like, or organizations like Goodwill that sell it, for example, and you can get that shipped to you. Find a used version of the book if you want to get a copy of this one. And it has so much information. I honestly got to read this more thoroughly. I got to read it again because there's just so much here. But it'll teach you a lot about formal game development outside of Roblox. Because in Roblox, a lot of people are less formal, they're less professional, they don't know all the things that the wider game industry knows. They have their own things that they're good at, right? But the wider game industry has a lot of formalized practices that if you apply them to Roblox development, you will get ahead in your career. You'll make better projects because of it. So read that book. I learned a lot of things. Unique selling points is one that I really, really liked. You got to build your game on the pillars of specific unique things that set your game apart from the rest of the market. And if you don't do this, your game probably won't stand out. And these are the things that you typically will market your game on. So for example, Adopt Me, right? Their USP is right out there, front and center. Adopting pets, raising them, also trading them. Those are different USPs they have. Another game that has USPs, Pet Simulator 99 / Pets Go, right? That game, or that game series, their USP is pets. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, but every game has pets now. Yeah, but Pet Simulator, the first version, was the first to do it like the way they do it. And it's still unique to this day, and it makes their game reach the top of Roblox success. So I loved that tidbit. I think that was particularly applicable to Roblox. And there's so much more in here. If you want to learn some of the concepts, you can watch this video in the top right-hand corner, which I actually use this book as a reference for a lot of it, especially the section that talks about how to make a game concept. All right, next. Freemium Mobile Game Design and Monetization by Dimitar Dragunov. What a good book that is poorly written. So it has a lot of great information, but it's kind of written in this very verbose, complex way that's harder for a lot of people to understand. A lot of the reviews agree with me as well online, but it's a great book if you want to learn about game design and especially about how to get a lot of money from the people who play your game and actually monetize properly. Read this. This book will change your perspective on game monetization forever. One thing I liked was how they went over whales. So, whales. Let me read something to you. So, further design best practices for whales stemming from the sunk cost fallacy, which is basically where the more you invest, whether that's time or money or energy into a game, right, the more that you feel like you gotta use that investment. You gotta keep playing because, oh, I've already invested all this time. I can't stop now. That's sunk cost fallacy, right? So stemming from the sunk cost fallacy relate to the fact that the longer players stayed in a game, the less price sensitive they become. So what they're saying is that the longer people play your game, the more likely they are to see your prices as reasonable. Like, okay, something for 500 Robux, a hoverboard, it might seem really expensive at first, but as they play and the sunk cost fallacy kicks in, they start to see that as, oh, that's actually reasonable. That's actually useful. I'd pay 500 Robux for that, and that's nothing, right? And it especially applies to whales, which are people who spend the most money in your game. And actually a huge percentage of, and you'll learn this in this book, a huge percentage of the money that you will earn from your projects will come from whales. In fact, I think most of the money that you make comes from whales. So read this book. And a lot of people will say, oh, monetization's bad. Making money from your players is bad. I disagree. When you monetize your game right, you actually give your players more value through making their experience better, giving them opportunities to expand their gameplay experience further if they want to. And nobody's forced to make a purchase in your game. It's their choice. So read this book, use it to its fullest potential, and make as much money from your projects as possible, knowing that you're also giving your players more value when you do it, and allowing yourself to monetize your work and your passion for game development. All right, next. I love this book. Currently reading it. This isn't all these books really aren't the type of books that you sit and just read cover to cover to cover, right? These are more so books that you flip through, you find what you need at the time, and you move on. This book is Project Management for Dummies. What a great book. Exceptional book. And it goes into detail on a lot of things that you usually don't hear put in a detail. And it teaches you a lot of stuff about how to plan your projects properly and do it thoroughly, right? In a way that everything is done in detail so that you actually are able to carry out your game development process properly and get things done on time by the deadline. And also how to manage your team members. Lots of great information in here. And I think one key lesson from this book that I got overall as I've been reading it is just to be thorough. Be very, very thorough. Plan your game first, then carry out the process of creating it. And the reason is that when you do it this way, you ensure that hiccups don't happen along the way while you're making your project that slow you down, right? Say that you're making a game and you don't plan out all the maps you want to have, and you have to start doing that along the way, right? Now you're wasting all this time going back and forth between planning a map and then making it, planning a map and then making it, rather than just planning all the maps at once in one stage and then making all the maps in another stage. That is way more efficient. Do it that way. Plan thoroughly and then carry out the work in your project. I like that. They separated the work into distinct stages. So there's, for example, they have project life cycle phases. And they said, yeah, there is some fluidity with these. But generally, especially when you're starting the project, you want to keep things in their respective phase rather than doing things all over the place, like a lot of us developers often do. 1, starting the project. 2, organizing and preparing. 3, carrying out the work. It's the main phase where you do all the work, the scripting, the building, the modeling. It's all in there. And then 4, closing the project. It's finishing it up. I love how they distinctively separated all those different phases. By the way, links to all these books will be in the description. They're affiliate links, so if you buy the book from my link, it will help the channel and help me bring more books like this to you. Okay, have to re-record this part. Don't know why my computer stopped recording, but it is what it is. So, we got the next book. This is The Art of Game Design by Jesse Schell. This is one of the best books that exists on game development. You will not find that many books that are better than this and more thorough, more detailed than this. There's a lot of valuable information that I've found in this book. Every single time I open it up, I find something new that can be used in development for you guys or my own projects. And honestly, I haven't read that much of it, but every page is filled with value. Every page has something useful on it. One thing that I love from this book is how he breaks down how the Maslow's hierarchy of needs applies to game development. See, when we think about human needs, our biological needs, our psychological needs, we need food, we need shelter, we need water, we need love and belonging, we need all these different things. We think we just need these things in real life, when in reality, we also need to put these things in the games that we create. Because no matter where you are, if you're a human, you are driven by the same needs, psychologically, biologically. If you're playing a game, you're driven by the same things. That's why Minecraft, for example, it's all about survival at the start. You're naturally inclined to go and break wood so that you can go and build shelter. You're naturally inclined to go and kill cows and sheep so that you can have food. And then once you build your shelter, once you're actually able to survive, now you actually start going towards self-actualization. And that's how it works in the Maslow's hierarchy of needs and in real life too. Once you have all your basic needs fulfilled, your food, shelter, water, your physiological needs, your safety and security, your love and belonging, your self-esteem needs, all those basic needs, now you can start to self-actualize, go towards more of a deeper purpose for your life. And the same thing happens in Minecraft. Once you have all those basic needs fulfilled, right, this reflects real life in that you start building out amazing structures. You build a beautiful kingdom, or you start going to the end and striving towards bigger goals in the game that might not be necessary to survive, but they help you actualize your full potential in Minecraft. So apply this. This is one of the biggest lessons you can learn about game development. Because if you understand how your players are driven, you can motivate them towards any pursuit in your game. So study this book. If this one page can teach you all of these things I've just told you about, imagine how much you'll learn when you read more of this book. You will never be the same person again. You will change your approach to game development forever. And again, with all these books, if you read them, if you read even one of them, you're going to put yourself ahead of 99% of developers out there because they don't know this information at all. Most developers, let's be honest, they don't have much work ethic. They're kind of lazy. And are they going to read a book about development? Probably not. So read it, get ahead, and level up as fast as you can. And let's do this. And maybe you'll learn something from these books that I haven't learned yet, right? I haven't looked at every page. That isn't the way that you read these types of books. You find what you need at the time, and you close the book, and you get back to work, and you apply the lesson you learned. So take what you learn from these books and make videos like the one I am recording and sharing with you right here. I've made this video, you've watched it to the end, and I put things that I learned from these books into this content. I have told you all these things so that you can learn them and apply them to how you do Roblox development. And now you're a better developer because of it. You know more. And do you understand that you could do the exact same thing for someone else or for thousands of other people? Make dev content. Share the lessons that you learned from these books when you read them. And just like I've been teaching you here, you can teach others as well. Well, look at that little thumbs up. Isn't that funny? Watch this video here now to learn even more, and I'll see you next time.